The Leica M is different than any other camera system out there. And if you want to switch to the M from any modern camera system, a world of failures and struggles opens. And you have to go through those struggles and failures to find the magic that this camera system hides. And the fact that this camera system doesn't have autofocus is only one of the differences that awaits you. So here are 10 tips to master the Leica M system from someone that went through all those struggles and failures. On other cameras I often use aperture priority, but on the M I only use auto ISO, and then I set my shutter speed and my aperture manually. And that has two reasons. Reason number one is I have more control over my image, which would be the case with other cameras too. But the second reason is that this camera doesn't have IBIS. So to get sharp images, it's even more crucial to set your shutter speed right. So I try to not go below 1/250th of a second. That's of course different if I want some motion blur in my image. Second tip is about aperture and which one I use in which case. Because for the Leica M system, you can get some pretty high aperture lenses like this 40mm f1.2 Nikon from Voigtlander, or of course the famous Noctilux lenses from Leica. But different to other camera systems where everything is sharp, even at f1.2 with that crazy good autofocus, well, obviously the Leica M doesn't have autofocus, so it is pretty hard to hit anything at f1.2. So here are a few tips which aperture I use in which case. And let's start right away with f1.2. f1.2 is the aperture that I only use at full body portraits if I want to have some background separation, even if the subject is a bit further away from me. Everything else, good luck. And do not try to shoot anything that's moving with f1.2. And if you think right now, f1.2 is a great aperture for closer portraitures, honestly, not really, because it is pretty hard to focus on the eye, and if you hit the eye, well, even then the nose and the ears are unsharp. That just doesn't look good. And most of the time, well, it's the eyes that are unsharp and maybe the nose or the ears that are sharp, and that's the worst case. Next up, f2. I use f2 for closer portraitures, for example, or in low light, obviously. f4 is the aperture where I start using it for moving subjects. With f4 you have a good chance to get them in focus. And I'm also using it for focus traps. What a focus trap is basically you are on your position and you pre-focus your lens, and then you wait for your subject to move into the frame, and then you hit the shutter button. Next up is f5.6, and f5.6 is the aperture that I like to use for studio portraits, because you get sharp eyes, sharp ears, sharp nose, and the background is still slightly blurred. f8 is for everything that needs a lot of depth of field. Landscape, cityscapes, and hip shooting, for example. At f8 you can start with hip shooting. Anything below f8, well, good luck. It's pretty hard to hit anything, even if you've practiced. Number 3 is a tough one for all the traditionalists and a great one for everyone that wants to save a few bucks. And it is, you do not need to shoot a Leica lens on the Leica body these days. All the manufacturers like Voigtlander and Zeiss, and even the Chinese ones, are able to make sharp lenses these days. It is what it is. I'd also love to shoot a Leica lens on the body, and I will buy one, but it is fact that you pay a lot of premium for a equal lens. It is fact that you can compare Voigtlander lenses to Leica lenses. You can compare the Voigtlander Apple to the Leica Apple, for example. You can compare the Voigtlander 28-1.5 to the Leica 28-1.4, and they cost a fraction of the price of the Leica. And honestly guys, that's good news. Because everyone that wants to shoot Leica lenses can buy Leica lenses, and everyone that can't afford Leica lenses, they can still shoot great lenses on the M system and get the experience. Tip number 4 is always start focusing at infinity. Because if you take the camera to your eye and you're not starting at infinity, you do not know where you are, and you do not know if you have to turn the focus ring left or right, and that leads to quite a lot of confusion, and quite often you miss the picture. So if you start in infinity, you always know that you have to turn your focus ring left ways. And it also has a second benefit. and that is that you're building muscle memory. Which means if you put it to the eye, you know where your stops are, or you know roughly where you have to focus. Let's say you're starting at infinity and you want to go to 1.2 meters, it's always that quarter of a turn. Look. Now that we're already talking focus, let's talk about focus fine-tuning. Let's say you're shooting people that are talking with each other and they always go a little bit back and forth and they're always a little bit out of focus. But instead of turning your focus ring always, use your body. Focus them once and then fine-tune with your body. Believe me, that's much faster and much more intuitive. Try it out, really, try it out, I encourage you. Tip number 6 is turn off your display while you're shooting, because the Leica M has a big advantage with its rangefinder, that is that it doesn't need power. So with one battery you get through a whole day of shooting normally. But it's only the case if you turn out the display on the back while you're shooting, because if the display is on, the camera will burn down your battery like a modern mirrorless camera. But sometimes you should absolutely use your display, and that is if you have to frame very precisely. And if you're using lenses below 28mm, of course the rangefinder doesn't have lines for any lens below 28mm. So for everything like 24, 21 or even 15mm, I think Voigtlander has one, you have to use the display. Also, if you have to focus super critical and super shallow depth of field, it can absolutely help to use the display, because you can use the focus magnification. Tip number 8 is use the triple resolution technology that's inside this camera. This is very innovative and I do not know why not any other camera manufacturer uses this technology. What it basically does is it allows you to shoot the camera on the full 60 megapixels, but it also allows you to shoot on 38 megapixels and 18. And honestly, I mean, who needs to shoot a wedding at 60 megapixels? 38 is more than enough and you will save yourself a ton of storage space. And for something like Instagram, social media, 80 megapixels are more than enough too, trust me. I often miss to use this opportunity and I always have to deal with full hard drives, so trust me, it's a game changer, but you have to use it. Tip number 9 is learn how to estimate distances, because that is crucial if you want to try hip shooting. You do not have to estimate any distance, but you at least have to know a few ones. For the 40mm, for example, I like to hip shoot at 2 meters. So what I did is I set my focus at 2 meters and then at f4 or f2, and then I was walking and just pointed my camera to different things where I thought that they are 2 meters away, and well, then I've seen if I estimated right or wrong. And if I got better, if I mastered f4, I tried f2 and then went down to f1.2, but yeah, that's nearly impossible, trust me. So basically, you don't have to learn to estimate all the distances, you have to only learn those ones that you need for your images. Final tip is use UHS 2 cards in this camera. Leica recommends it, and I heard a few people that reported that the camera freezes, that they lose data and things like that. And Leica says that it has to do if you're using old UHS 1 cards. I've used UHS 2 cards in this camera since I own it and I never have a failure. Honestly, I don't know if it really has to do with that, but I can only report I did what Leica said and well, I didn't have a failure yet. Fingers crossed. Please, do not start failing now on me. It also helps a lot to write away those big 60 megapixel files. So do you have any more tips? Have I missed something? Write it down in the comments. And if not, I would love to see a few likes and subscribes here. And please tell me, what do you want to see next? And as always, thanks for watching and see you in the next one. Bye.